All right. Let me know when we're on here.
Yeah, you were on.
We're recording now.
Yeah.
Okay, well then. Hi, I'm Mark. This is Lucky. Lucky is not our usual guest here, at least not on stage. But today she popped in. She's
on camera.
On camera, she wants a little attention. So anyway, she may be occupying my left arm occasionally, as with my partner, Heidi Herrlein.
Yeah. Hey, I'm in.
We open up a regular Friday night show. We do this every Friday, just about.
Yeah, sometimes we have invited really big guests, and then we do it on Google Hangouts, and then we have an after show here on Blab, or we just do a Blab like today, because we have created a community, the Wisdom Factory community on Google Plus, and we invite our community members, but many of them seem to be in the pre-Christmas.
They must be out shopping.
Probably.
Okay. Anyway.
Hello. I mean, if you want to come in.
Yeah.
Our topic today, we just thought, what does the world ask of us? We are always saying, what do we want from the world?
Yeah.
But what is the world wants from us? And so trying to get a little bit nearer to the idea of, how can we say, responsibility?
Well,
of purpose?
Yes, I think I probably agree with you, but just for the sake of argument, I'd like to say, is the world actually asking anything of us? Can the world ask?
Yeah, you are right. This is a bit abstract question. The planet is unable to speak, let alone ask questions. Actually, I don't think so. Planet doesn't have language, but it shows us quite well with all the plants dying, with the water shortages, with
terrible
things happening. So I think it shows us. It tells us, and this is exactly what we want to explore. What do we think that the planet is asking us? You get enough water and vegetables, you are fine off. We are here in Italy, and about 3 years ago, we had the same situation as we have now. No rain in November, no rain in December. And in July, Andrea, hi. In July and August, we didn't have any water anymore, and the water had to come in truck.
Yeah, that's right. A big semi truck.
Fortunately, they had still water where the official water is, because we have a spring, our own spring, and it had never dried out as far as anybody could remember. And 3 years ago, it had dried out, and this next year might be again. So you live in the Netherlands. Yeah. Can you send over some rain to us, please?
Some places have been getting a lot of rain. Terrible storms in England.
People, we have 3 seats open. You just click on it, and then I can call you in when you express your desire to come in.
And all you have to do is have conversation that is a little bit more sparkling than what we're doing.
Oh, come on.
What?
Aren't we sparkling enough?
I'm just trying.
Well, we don't have water.
I'm just trying to encourage them in, I want to keep the threshold low enough so that nobody's intimidated.
Hi, Spindling. Who is Spindling? Is it you, Andrea? Come in.
Yeah. Right.
Friend from Florence, nearby.
Oh, wonderful. Okay. But, I of course, we can say that the world is telling us something, and we can imply that it's really asking for our care and our love. But it's not just the physical world, it's the inhabited world, the creatures and even the people. What are they asking of us?
When every time I see a truck full of pigs on the autostrada, I get, poor things, how they are treated. I'm not vegetarian, not at all. I had my sheep here in the country, and I ate the lambs, but how they are treated.
Yep. So what do we want to do?
What can we do?
Yeah, what do we do? Well, for one thing, what we're doing is is it sponsoring what we're doing it, or at least we're setting up this Blab so we can talk about it. That's the very least we can do, to maybe help create some awareness and maybe just get somebody, including ourselves, to think about what might be going on.
Yeah, and if you don't want to come in because you are shy or whatever, you can, here in the chat box, click on the slash and write a question behind it, and then I can bring up the question.
They don't care for
the pigs
awareness.
Don't care for awareness. They'd like to live freely. Yes, but as long as we don't have the awareness and we don't allow them to live freely, actually, we have pigs living freely.
We certainly do. They're tearing up the yard and the grounds all around us. Yeah, they're wild.
The wild pigs, really, they come to the house and dig up the earth. So they are fine, but the other ones are not.
And I really wouldn't necessarily say they don't care about awareness. They don't care about it, but they have it.
Yeah, but the topic today is, what does the world ask of us? What can we do for the world? Because our normal question is, what can the world do for us? What can we get? And so the question once turned around, what can we do to create a better world? Maybe this is a better
that's all right.
Of the
that's
question.
a little more clear, perhaps. Yep, and a little more directed. So I don't know. What can you do?
What can I do? When we had the Blab after the terrorist attacks, and I did several Blabs with a friend who is a musician, I was promising that I would begin to sing, to get because I'm a singer, at least I was. Today I have my voice a little bit in the cellar, but I got the virus or something. Anyway, I said I would do that because the power of music is highly underestimated, but actually I haven't done it.
And one little thing we attempted to do is to see if we could host some refugees on our property, because we've got guest room for people, and there's nobody here visiting. We could put up with people for a couple of months or so.
We could have 10 people here, even more. And I asked, and the mayor of our little village says, no refugees on his terrain.
But listen, if any of you people are refugees, don't listen to our mayor. Come anyway. Yeah. Okay.
We cannot do that because they have the official status.
Yeah.
This was one idea how to help. And when I'm heartbroken when I see these photos and read the articles how the people in Syria now live, and if they get ever more bombs on their head, I mean, and people don't go away if they have not a real good reason for going away in these conditions as they are walking along, and so.
And it's cold, and it's winter, and it's hungry, and nobody's leaving for fun.
No.
Yeah.
So, tell me, you said I create beauty in the form of art for the world. This is my little contribution. Can you show me that?
Yeah, do you have anything?
I think we need to get that all out. This is the thing which I said with my singing. We need to get it out and not have it at home. I mean, I can sing at home for hours, but this doesn't really.
And I wish she would, by the way.
I have so many other things to do. Sitting the whole day on the computer. Do you have one of your pieces and can show it? Take a look at your Google page. Can you send it?
Can you post it?
Post the link in here.
How does? Yeah.
For everybody.
You can put it over there in the questions?
No, here on that side.
Okay.
Yeah. Wonderful. So what are you creating? What? Okay. What are you creating? What sort of art? Pictures or sculptures, or what are you doing?
Yeah, well, we wait for Spindle to.
Yeah, and we asked that there is also.
That must be Andrea.
Yeah, I just clicked on you. I'm following you, and you can follow me on Blab, and everybody can do that. And please, people, on the left side is tell a little bird and tell your friends on Facebook. If you do that, we might attract more people, because we don't want to hold a monologue. This is not.
Well, technically, it's not a monologue, because at least you and I are talking, and that's a dialogue.
Okay, but we have talked so often. We want to have some input from somebody else. So we really invite you to just click on the call in circle.
Yep, call in, give us
paintings mainly. Okay, good.
Yeah,
I love that.
It'd be wonderful if we could see some.
Yeah, and I can then share it also on Google, and then it gets posted also to Facebook.
Yep.
And you know, this is true, Andrea. When I see some nice artwork coming through social media, it makes me smile. It creates a better atmosphere in my inner life for a moment. Yep. Maybe I was angry because something doesn't work.
Probably something I did.
No, not only you. Many things which don't work. My iBook publication, which is for 2 months, and makes me angry. And other things, you know. Google Hangouts yesterday, catastrophe. Things like that.
No.
Oh, thank you for the links. I will go later, and everybody else, you can click on the link and see.
What happened if we clicked on that right now?
It goes on the new tab, so we won't disappear.
We wouldn't disappear, but nobody would see it. But
no, we cannot bring it in. As far as I know, there is no screen sharing.
No, I don't think so.
Okay, what else? Martin and the other person has disappeared.
Okay, Martin is there?
Yeah, I see his integral relationship symbol.
Yeah. Anyway, well, that was I'm having an integral relationship with the dog right now. She's being very insistent, very demanding. Yes, but
so how can we create a better world, or what does the world ask of us? I only have time to listen in right now. It is a shame.
Okay.
Because the juicy thing is when different people come and give their perspectives. Sometimes it's really very juicy. And we just talk out of our box.
Yes, that's true. Well, we could bring up juicy topics about what we could do for the world.
Okay.
Like have sex with the world?
Oh, come on.
Well,
no,
you want a juicy topic?
No, this is not really juicy.
Okay.
I think, and we come into relationship, there is Martin, and he's working on relationships as we do too.
No, down.
I think the world is asking us to create relationships. And before I was on 2 different blabs, and both were talking about creating relationships one by one. And even when they talk about marketing is not anymore that you push people your message on, and say, you have to buy that because I am the only person who can tell you how things go right. But it is about creating trust, and trust you create only in relationships. If you don't know the people, it's very difficult to create trust.
Yeah.
Since we have this video format, it's much easier to create trust. Actually, we got to know.
It's true.
Yeah. We got to know by Facebook and by answering on topics which were interesting to us.
Responding.
And so we got to know each other, and sooner or later, after a week or 2 weeks or something, we saw each other on Skype. That was Skype time.
Yeah.
And it took, some time. And then he came over from America to Italy, and we sort of knew each other. And this is the experience I have made several times with people who I've never seen in real life, but here on these medias like Hangouts or Blab or what else, Skype also.
Sure.
Yeah. And when I meet them, it is like an old friend, really an old friend, because we can see, our faces.
Yes. You can't do that in print.
No, in print you can't. And yeah.
Well, maybe that's one thing we can do for the world is if we create better relationships.
I don't know if they can hear you.
If we create better relationships with those about us, that's certainly, I think, bound to add something plus to the world. Yeah.
Yeah. I try to tell a little bird again. So let's see. Sometimes we fall out in this process because it's creating a little GIF. And it depends on the bandwidth if it's working or not working. Because I really would like to talk with somebody face to face. Here it comes.
Is that us? Is that the GIF?
That's us.
That's us.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
So what is Martin working about is to find
helping people
the right partner, or maybe if you have already found it, check if it is the right one, or if it might not be the right one, but begin to understand why the again, I don't know if you have seen us and heard us in the meantime, but we were talking about conflicts often in a couple are not because they don't love each other, but because they are living in different worlds, in different mindsets.
What do you got in mind, lady?
And then lately, we have studied a little more about the Enneagram, that there are really different types approaching the world in different ways. And so what's normal for me, and, I say, how can you not get that?
What's
and how can you behave in this way?
What's your problem?
Yeah. And so we think so often that our own way of doing and being is the only one.
Yeah.
And when we get into it in one way of the levels of development, the other way in the Enya type structures of the people, you can understand so much more, and you don't need to take it so personally anymore. When things appear, and you get more tolerant. And I think this is also helping us to get up in a different level of development.
Oh, it is, because it helps us also see our own behavior from up above, looking down at it. We can see ourselves walking through our life, interacting with people, and say, "Oh, I did that again, again. My goodness." This is something I need to look at. The tricky part is once you become aware of these potential conflicts or why they happen so often, how do you respond to the request to change something, change the way you look at something, change the way you interact with someone? What has, because if you just continue like you were, well, then you have our history of 7 divorces between us?
Yeah, I mean, this is the challenge, no? To learn out of the...
Just 5, sorry.
To learn out of these things, no? Out of your knowledge and out of your experience. And I was talking about the Enneagram. We lately have bought a course at Integral Life. I don't know, Martin, you know it, but Andrea, I don't know if you know Integral Life, which is the main website of the integral world, let's say. And they have given a recorded course of Helen Palmer. And this is really, really, really great. If you want to learn a little bit about yourself and about the others, it is not just teaching in the sense of this type does da 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 da, but they are interviewing real people. And by the way, there were people we know, like John Dupuy and Brett Walker and other people. They were on the panel and they were interviewed. And so you see how they face life. The same situations, everybody has a different way of facing them and of acting and responding, but not as different as we think. It is not completely individual. There are really, how to say,
scripts.
They're sort of scripts.
Yes. People use it. They learn very young, or they. That's whether they adopt. I should say.
We, everybody does.
Okay, we.
Okay. And this means that it is quite a bit of slavery, when you are in a always acting and responding in such a conditioned way. And so when you get to know it, I actually, Andrea, might be interesting for you here in Italy in, how is the place called? Between Todi and Oviedo. I've forgotten. There is a little village which is completely an agriturismo.
Oh, that place.
Yeah. And there, Claudio Naranjo did, or maybe still does, Enneagram courses, always a week. I did it for 5 years, and I learned a lot of it. But what was missing was the evolutionary perspective. And this is what Helen Palmer brings in.
Yes, it was. It's a real treat to have her on top of the predecessors that she gives great credit to. I mean, that's how she came up. But Claudio, he spent a lot of time on the pathology of the various types.
No, and to find the psychology, because Enneatype, I don't know if you know it, but the Enneagram was a secret spiritual transmission, which was only orally transmitted for centuries, let's say. And only in the last century it was more open in the Western world. And in the 80s, the first books were written about it. Until then, it was only in the, how do you say, vocal tradition?
Oral tradition.
Oral tradition, yeah. And coming back to our topic, what does the world ask of us now? For me, one of the things is really to learn about yourself, to learn who you are, how you act, how you react, how you respond, and discover all these shadow things. I mean, what the Enneagram describes mainly is your ego structure, is your conditioned self, and we can also say what is in your shadow in many ways. So when the
things we don't look at because of the type of person we are,
and we think it's normal, and we don't even we often are not aware. And if we learn about it, we can face the world in a different way.
Oh, it's a very hopeful process, actually. There are difficulties on the way when you realize, oh, I've been doing that. Really, is that what it looks like to other people? Well, I thought I was
so good,
and being so caring. Honest and caring, and I am driving people away by my honesty, for example. And. Oh.
What you think is honesty, but it was something else,
It wasn't just honesty. It was
some agenda behind.
Yeah.
Okay.
I have.
Okay, this is the part of Enneagram. We have already done 1 or 2 sessions in the Wisdom Factory community about the Enneagram, and we would like to do another if you're interested also. But let's go. What does the world ask of us now? We have had, in this last 2 weeks, we had one meeting with John Freeman talking about a new money structure, new capitalism.
Well, actually, what is money as a way to redefining capitalism? Yes, and basically, that would be a great healthy move to have money become once again something that represented something in the real world that wasn't just accounting numbers on a balance sheet somewhere, or actually not even on the balance sheet anymore, just in the computer, not representing anything at all.
Yeah, and John Freeman really did a great job. First in the show on, which is now on YouTube, but also the Blab is on YouTube, on the Wisdom Factory channel, to explain and answer to questions. This is one thing which, he wrote a book about that. And in spring, we had him on a transmission where he talked about the book, which is called The Science of Possibility.
So 2 books in basically the space of a year. Wow.
Yeah, and this is his way of responding to the demands of the world. Because we need to think about these things, and we need to have thought leaders about these things. Yeah. This was one thing. And then the week before, we had the talk about
the Middle East.
The Middle East. But it was about the refugees.
Yeah, specifically about
the refugees. And after that, we had a wonderful dialogue on Blab here with 2 young social workers who are working with refugees. Yeah. One is in Sweden, and the other one is in Germany.
Yeah, in Stockholm and Berlin.
Berlin, I think, yeah.
It was. Yeah.
And what comes out, for me, came out that what people tell us about these things, the news or whoever, it's often not really true.
Be real careful about the news, I'm afraid most newspapers, news sources, they have agendas. Who can you trust? Who will really?
I would like to know, is the world really asking me anything, Andrea? I think it does. Why do you think, I ask you back, why do you think that it doesn't? We have a relationship with the world as it has with us, haven't we?
Well, we are in the world is in us.
It would be nice, really, if we could talk about it, because typing is so boring. So coming back to relationships, as I said, we have a relationship with the world, because without the world here, we couldn't live.
Couldn't do anything.
It's the basis of our lives. And when we have a relationship with the world has a relationship with us.
That means what we do affects the world.
Absolutely. And the world, let's say the planet,
the planet.
We can take it even bigger, but let's be in the planet. The planet has some requirements. We know from another show we did with Robin Wood. He said, presently we are consuming about 1.5 planets. And it will come very soon, the moment when it's completely exhausted.
Yeah.
From prime materials and whatever, air quality. We just don't care enough about it. We don't take care to at least preserve what there is and what we need. At least consume only one planet.
Just one, yeah.
And this wouldn't be good either, because then it's gone away too, no?
Well, he has the idea of thrivability, not just sustainability.
Yeah.
Sustainability implies that there's scarcity, that if we're really good at it, we can get by and not do any harm, but thrivability is that if we free up our minds and become inventive, then we can find ways in which we can actually live better than we are now, maybe not in the strict material sense, but in an altogether better way that is very friendly to the earth and can help the earth flourish.
But also in the strict material sense, he gave examples.
That's true.
I've forgotten, actually, it's a while ago, but he gave examples how easy it would be. It was with cell phones, something. How technology could help to not eat up everything, but to even make it more available, things we need and we don't want to renounce too. But actually, I've forgotten. We have to re-listen to it. It was in February last year. Robin Wood, you find him twice in the Wisdom Factory on YouTube. It's enormous. And also what enterprises can do at the moment, they do mainly to destruct the world. And he says, if they knew how little needs to be changed to sort of recreate the world. And he says the leaders of the big enterprises, they are not bad people. They only don't know collectively how to change, what to do differently. And they do maybe a little quote better here and a little quote better there, but that's not the point.
So they become less bad, so to speak.
So they become less bad.
But there's more to it than that.
Yeah. So I invite you to go there and listen to that. I thought I had understood a lot, but it's too long ago. I can't repeat it. It's not really.
They become less bad. Actually, we can do things less bad.
Oh, what, for instance?
Well, no, but these are the sort of household things that we to recycle, to use less of certain kinds of materials.
To use the washing machine mainly when the sun is out, because we have solar panels.
Yes, yeah. Yep, and that doesn't mean that we have a positive footprint on the earth, but
not yet.
We have a less heavy footprint.
Less heavy.
Yeah.
The ecological footprint. This is an expression. I don't know if you have come across it. There are ways to figure out what is your ecological footprint. And Robin Wood himself, he has a big villa in France, in south of France, but he says this doesn't have a big ecological footprint. And that's what, when we have big ecological footprints, we destroy the earth. When we have reduced it without renouncing, without going back into, the abandoned houses in the mountain and eating the grass, and
the weeds in the grass.
Yeah, we don't need to do that. No. It's only reduce our eco-footprint in ways.
Which really,
today we were thinking about it. It was, who was it? With whom did we speak? An Italian person. In the Ferramenta.
Oh,
and
yes.
They said, this is so horrible here. They, I asked if I can get for compost a container, They said, they don't care. And I have asked them, she said, the shop owner, I have asked them to have a container and a collection of old pile.
Batteries.
Yeah. And they don't give it to me because they say, we don't know what to do with that. So there is no system really and no consciousness to collect the old things of recycling. And no.
So she was talking about the civil authorities.
She was talking about that. And then she said, and all the plastic, if the shops would take back the bottles, it would be so much better, no? Because here, wherever you look, there's the plastic trash everywhere, no? Yeah. I mean, Andrea, you know that.
Yeah.
And we in Germany, and Martin knows that, for a long time, the plastic bottles are charged with an extra charge, and they can be given back to the shop, and you get the money back.
Yeah, there's a deposit on them.
A deposit, okay, I didn't know the word. Yeah, and if you throw them away, somebody will find it and get the money for it. So this is an example how we say two flies are caught with the same clap, The plastic is away and some poor people get something to do and get some money. And here, what happens? The plastic is everywhere. And at least the children, if they would be guided by their parents to pick up the stuff they are throwing away. How often I saw that the parents don't care. Away. So, and you grow up that you throw all the things away in the landscape, in the beautiful Italian landscape. You need some bad experience to change, or some, I don't know what, some guidance. What is your take on that,
Maybe that's what we can
Andrea?
Do for the world. Produce bad experiences so people have to change.
Oh, come on. No, Andrea, what would you think? What could help Italy to change in this regard? We won't talk about everything. would really be curious what you think about it.
Is he still with us? Yes,
he is still here.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right. Should we just be quiet until he answers?
It is good for my voice because I'm becoming a bass.
A bath?
Bass,
a
baritone.
Bass. Bass, baritone. Okay.
Singing in the low.
Yeah, you are down there.
Okay.
Well, some people think that's kind of sexy, you know, to have that low voice.
And Andrea, when you're an artist, you know how the eye is heard. Oh. Okay, that's just a shame. But
what could be more interesting than us? Really, Andrea.
I wanted to say, Andrea, when you are an artist, you know how the eye is, how do you say, hurt when seeing all the trash around in the Italian beautiful landscape. Yeah. And this is what the world in Italy asks us to do, to take care for the rubbish all around. Martin, I have admitted you. I hope you can come in. Yeah.
Yes.
Good. Hi.
Put on my headphones.
Yes,
we do. Yeah.
Okay, this is good. We are fine today without headphones. Sometimes it's echo, sometimes it's not.
And we lucked out today.
Yeah.
I'm in
Where are
Los
you
Angeles.
Calling from today, Martin?
I'm in Los Angeles. Yeah,
LA.
it's 10:40.
It's morning time still.
Actually, I hear myself as an echo in your speakers.
Yeah.
So. Actually, I hear myself as an echo in your speakers.
Okay, so we will put on the earphones. That's why we were alone, that there was no echo.
Thanks for the invitation.
All right, there we go.
I'll do it.
Yeah?
No, it's fine. Sometimes it's so lively when many people come in, and when then we are alone, I feel a little bit abandoned.
Oh, goodness.
Okay.
Should we ask Martin the question we've been asking others?
No.
No?
Let's ask him why he decided.
Because I love you guys.
Okay, fair enough. Gee, go on.
Love relationships.
Well, it's big questions. I was also curious what people would say because as you may know, I'm working on a new book, and it asks these deep questions. It's utterly complex. I'm trying to read Roy Bhaskar right now. I don't know if you ever read or tried to read some of his stuff. Roy Bhaskar.
Pascal?
No.
Oh, no,
Anyway,
not Blaise
that's a bit
Pascal.
beyond.
No, somebody else.
So I was wondering what people can contribute. And what I'm sort of like exploring is, authentic purpose and being and becoming. Obviously there is a now how the world looks in the moment, and also the world is always becoming, right? We're moving forward. Does that make sense?
Sure.
Yeah. I just changed the topic. Authentic purpose. Authentic purpose and how the world.
I'm interested in being and becoming and becoming, Bhaskar, and I'm only scratching the surface there, as this idea of absence or negativity. In other words, that something is missing, like battery recycling in Italy, or I don't know, what other topics, or whatever topic you're addressing, right? Where you feel, climate change or social justice or healthcare or education. There's probably, you could make a list of thousands of topics where people around the world feel that they need to be addressed, right? And sometimes they're very immediate, like poverty in your neighborhood or no water in the well. And sometimes they're very global, like global warming or climate change or migration issues or terrorism and things like that. Right? Does that make sense? And a lot of people I mean, I don't want to go into big lecture, but a lot of people seem to operate a lot in their what Stephen Covey called their circle of concern, rather than operating in their circle of influence. And
interesting. Yeah. Interesting concept. There's a difference there.
This is very interesting, because when you really think about it, most people, including me, are in the circle of concern. This doesn't work, and this doesn't work, and this doesn't. I'm also Enneatype 4, who is very much focused on what is missing. And German too, as you are. We always know what is missing.
and why don't they fix it?
Yes,
whatever it is.
And go ahead.
Circle of concern versus circle of
influence. And I went to hear Catherine Woodward Thomas yesterday talking with Maria Shriver, and she didn't use these words, but she kind of elaborated briefly why she ended up on stage with Maria, and it in a way it had to do that she started to work on inside her circle of influence, writing a book and influencing, like 15 years ago, calling into one, and then meeting Claire and doing feminine power. And so, the more effectively you work in your circle of influence, the more it expands into your circle of concern, right? You have more and more effect on your circle of concern. Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
It expands, right? Your circle of influence becomes bigger, and by default, the circle of concern then in your area becomes smaller. And the other image I use and have in my mind is there are 4 circles. One is what you love to do. The other circle is what you do well. The other circle is what the world pays for. And the 4th circle is what the world needs. What the world needs. And they also relate to the 4 quadrants when we look at it from an integral perspective, like the I, the we, the it, and the its. The it being the money, the I, what you love, the we, what the world needs, and the it, the upper right, what you do well. And then I have one more idea I already mentioned, authentic purpose. I think maybe at a root, people feel called authentically either to do good in the world or to find truth or to create beauty. So I think there is like I feel, I'm a little conflicted between good and truth, but mainly, my concern is goodness in the world. Some other people may concerned with truth and others with creating beauty. Artists, you mentioned singing earlier, Heidi. And
goodness is definitely a lower left concern.
Right. And so I think what may be helpful is if more people would find out what their authentic purpose is on the planet, and then really educate themselves first in what we do well. What I often find is that people, they want to be activists and they're poorly informed about wherever they want to be active. Right, and it becomes it comes from a naive place or from an amateur place, their activities, and then. But once we know, where our deepest concern is, because there are so many things we can be concerned about, maybe pick 1 or 2 and then start to work in your circle of influence and connect with others. You mentioned Facebook. I mean, now we can connect with people around the globe as we're doing right now, and team up with people who share your same concern. And obviously, the more people you can attract to working with you, the bigger becomes your circle of influence. And
absolutely,
and focus on something that really, like I feel this deep passion about helping people to co-create what I call integral evolutionary love relationships, with equal rights and responsibilities, because I think our our sexual and mate selection process has a lot to do, is at the very root of a lot of the problems that we're facing. It's not the only thing,
absolutely,
but it is a big part. I mean, I live in Los Angeles, basically nobody dates me because I ride a bicycle, and I have an old car. And I just got, I know that's a little bit of a wound, but a few weeks on a Sunday afternoon, I crossed the busway and maybe the light was red, but there was nobody around except for 3 police people. And I got a $500 ticket, just being punished for riding my little bicycle, and I mean, anyway, I'm just giving an example. So anyway, coming back to that, then, find what you really feel passionate about and feel concerned about. And, in my world, ideally find or co-create with a romantic partner or with your partner as the two of you do so beautifully. And then, attract other people to your cause. I think that's way more effective than spending a lot of time living in our circle of concern. Of course, you want to watch the news every day because whatever you're concerned about is, very interconnected with things that what other people are concerned about. So you don't want to operate in a vacuum, obviously, and just focus on your little circle of influence based on what you're most concerned about, but also understand, how your concerns ties in with everything else that matters in the world. But then go back and work in your circle of influence together with a partner. Ideally, that would be my vision.
Ideally, yes.
He is watching the news. I don't want to listen to this stuff. I get it then when it's really interesting, but I don't want this panic things. And sometimes when it is really heavy stuff like hurricanes and something, I'm a 4, as you know. It is overwhelming. So I try not to directly be concerned or overwhelmed by the things which happen, which I see, and I often know that is not even true. That the news are sort of blowing it up in a certain sense. So I try to get the information, let's say, secondhand or directly from people. When we had, for instance, the talk with Nafis, who lives in Bethlehem, and when he tells me how the situation is there, I can follow it in a completely different way than when it is like, blown up with this sensational way of the speakers, how
hyperbole. Yes.
Yeah. So trying to bring up the fear in people and the let's say the bad feelings. No, that's I don't really like it. Hey, Nassim. Ciao, everybody. Come in. We were also talking about Italy and about before about how can we avoid that all the clutter ends up in the besides the street.
Oh, here comes Nazim. Okay.
I want to briefly respond to you, Heidi.
Okay.
Again, it has something to do with circle of influence and concern. If I think, like I feel, I'm working pretty much on a worldwide level, on a world-centric level, and so I feel I need to be informed. And I watch the PBS NewsHour and the Tagesthemen every day, so at least and listen to the BBC. So often I get 3 perspectives on world matters, right, on the world news. But if your concern is more local, then of course it's always good to think global and to act local, to use that old term.
No, my concern is not.
If you get overwhelmed, by the news, by world news, then Anybody I would give that advice that inform themselves about the local news, or again, it has to do with concern. And
it's not that. It's not that. I'm not overwhelmed by the global news, but about the way it is presenting, like a film, which then is tapping me.
I think I would agree with what Heidi's saying, because we were talking about that last night, me and my wife, watching local programs here in Italy. Television discussing, it seems like everybody's really pushing this war thing to levels that they really want to push it to. And at the end of the day, I mean, is it a war? Is it what toward a war? And a lot of people, when they look at these things, they don't think about what they're watching, or they don't read between the lines, and they just get carried away by this wanting to raise this level and I just think, it's not, I mean, ISIS, whatever, all these variations, we've been at war for there's been a war that nobody has even noticed. We in Europe have noticed it because we live in Europe, but in America, I don't think people were really paying attention to what was going on in Syria and Iraq and Lebanon and all these other places. It was a distant issue. Now, with this new thing, terror, it's kind of like they're wanting to build up this frenzy so that we can have a confrontation. And I think in today's time, modern these current days, is very dangerous, because I'm talking to my mom who lives in Turkey, and she says, we're kind of looking at the news, but it's not too many people are concerned about. And I said, well, from the outside, we're looking at it like an escalation. And she goes, no, it doesn't seem like an escalation inside of Turkey. Everybody thinks it's just two guys, going at it, and that it will calm down and it will be resolved. So the perspective of how news is put and how people are talking about things, I think I like to agree a little bit with Heidi. I think we have to just read between the lines and say, yes, it might be some sort of new expansion of a confrontation, but I really tend to think that there's a lot of maneuvering underneath the tables that we don't really even can imagine what they're economical, financial, political. So, that's my opinion, but I'm joining in late, so I don't know.
If we say the news, obviously there are, I don't know if you're integrally informed, there's obviously news channels that cater to different levels of consciousness.
Yes, correct.
And depending on how many languages you speak and things. I mean, I'm privileged enough to watch the Tagesthemen, listen to the BBC World News, and watch the PBS NewsHour. That's the only things I do every day. And I mean, I don't watch CNN or Fox News or NBC or anything else, and I don't know what you have in Italy and Turkey.
No, in Italy, what we have is this group of these nightly political shows that start talking about politics, and they just dwindle and dwindle. I don't watch too many. As I sit down with my wife and look at it, and I said, they're just doing warmongering issues just to do warmongering issues. So it's not very positive.
So if you say the news, I think we need to qualify that a little bit.
You're right.
What, do you read Bild Zeitung in Germany or Frankfurter Zeitung?
There's a level of culture.
Difference. Yeah.
I agree with you. There's a level
of integrity of journalists, etc.
Exactly. That you concentrate on. But let's talk about the typical person that's not a big. They sit down and they watch their nightly news, and then the next day at work, they come up to me and they say, we're at a war. We're going to war. It's going to be, and I'm sitting there going like, were you watching? What were you watching last? Oh, I saw, and it's a different type of level.
Sensationalism. It is. I mean, I totally agree with you.
Yeah.
But I think the topic is what can we do, right? What does the world ask of us, right?
Yes.
This was the initial topic, and now I have changed again. Should we watch the news as we went into this thing?
I think we just answered something we can give the world.
I think calmness and some perspective. Sorry if I don't know your name. What is your name? Martin. Nice meeting you. Nice meeting you here. I totally agree with Martin, because I sit down and I read The Guardian. I selected online publications, The Guardian. Those sort of things that El País that are specific to that give you a different level of journalism.
Yeah.
Than this but what's on TV is the worst.
And coming back to, I know how much you listened earlier, right? But I was sort of like advocating that everybody finds their their passion or their deepest pain or their deepest concern, and then work in their circle of influence. So once you narrow it down to something that you're competent about and can be education, finance, whatever it is. I mean, when I see something on the news and it pertains to my particular passion and purpose, then I do the same thing that you do. Then I, of course, go online and I find more, sources, but then I narrow it down while having sort of like overall somewhat of a global understanding of whatever the media chooses to report on. It's really interesting what the British and the German and the US media often choose to report on.
Of course.
And then how they report on it.
Exactly.
It is different.
It is.
Yeah. The whole time it comes to my mind when we talked with this guy from Bethlehem about
Bethlehem
3 weeks ago, 4 weeks ago, and we were all concerned about the terrorist attacks in Paris and blah blah blah. And somebody, I think it was John, asked from the audience, but is it a topic in Israel and in Palestine? He said no.
Of course not, because they've consistently lived under this state for, it's common. It's just, it's just
to the club.
Yeah, I'm not saying. I find it very interesting how the event in France is an event that really, has taken it to a level kind of like where France is, now it's like, no, it's just a case in point. It happened in Spain and Madrid years before. We had it in London, but the one in France, okay, the numbers were maybe higher, but it's still, it's just something that Israel and Palestine and Syria and Turkey, I mean, the south of Turkey with the Kurds, has been living constantly with this. So
every day for them, and not just one.
But then I don't want to go off the subject too much. Being an American, when I look at somebody like Donald Trump saying the things that he's saying, I'm sitting there going like, I just hope that people have the consciousness of doing the research, as our friend Martin and also you guys are, and reading and not going into this whole like, he's right, we have to close the borders and we have to do this, and then, these type of people get the momentum because in these certain times, look at what's happening in France with Marine Le Pen. They're coming out, you're starting to call in the negative people in my sphere of mind frame to come to and that's how, if things like these can get really out of hand. And I hope that's not the case. I hope I'm wrong.
Where do you live, Nassim?
I live in Milan, Italy.
Oh, okay, but you're an American.
I'm American. I married an Italian, and I moved here in 1992, and I love it. I love Europe.
I love
more Italian than we are.
Anyway, I'm going to have to run because I have a dinner party. Super great meeting you, Mark. Yeah. Super happy to have joined in, and I love the.
And it's nice to see you again. We were a little bit. Hope to see you again. And salutami, Betty. Okay.
I will.
Bye. Bye.
Well, so nice that we didn't have to talk to each other for the whole hour. We got a couple of good guests. Wow,
yeah, wonderful.
Right.
Thank you for coming in, Martin. It was nice. And I really think this is a way we can slowly get out the message that once in a while somebody jumps in. At the moment, probably people who know me, and there came in sometimes more, sometimes less. And it's what I think what we need to do to get out people into a new mindset slowly.
Well, we get people like Nazim who aren't integrally informed, but they're bright and sensitive and receptive.
Absolutely.
And we had a lady a couple nights ago. What was her name?
Melanie,
who wasn't integral, but she asked excellent questions.
What is integral?
This is not, heads and shoulders above other people and their abilities.
And our mission, what I see as our mission, is not necessarily only to speak between integral people, but to break it down into something which sufficiently intelligent people can can understand and relate to, and not a theory talk, you know. It more something like this. And when we do our shows, it will also be like, let's say, almost like this, you know. You have more time to bring your subject out, but more broken down to real life instead of Ken Wilber talking about the lines and the stages of development or something, you know. So this is our intent, to attract some people who are at the how do you say, at the jump, you know, to get interested into these topics. And
Okay, I'll see you guys soon.
Thank you.
Have a good evening.